Hello and welcome to my Sekiro Noobs guide. So I'm going to be covering three sections for this video. The first being combat, obviously a fundamental of this game, the economy systems, the items that drive this particular game, and skills and farming tips. So the first section we're going to head into together is combat. So obviously huge changes to various things with the combat for this particular game in comparison to the other FromSoft stock. So firstly, simple stuff. L1 is block, L1 is guard. Now you might think that L1 is going to be the way that you defend yourself, and yes, that might be true, but actually I'm just going to show you this slow down clip. And actually the most important thing about holding guard or block L1 is watch my posture bar at the bottom. I back away, I hit guard, and you can immediately see my posture bar reduce. And this game is all about posture, as you're going to see. So in actuality, L1 block is mostly to manage your posture. So at the top there, the arrow above, you can see the enemy's posture bar, so you want to be keeping an eye on that all the time, as well as your own at the bottom. That's also been pointed out. And when they get into kind of orangey yellow state, you're going to be posture broke, as you can see with me there. So posture is literally everything in this game. You can win a fight or lose a fight based purely on your posture. It doesn't have to be your vitality necessarily. But the main mechanic you want to learn is not just holding L1, but learning to tap L1 at just the right time to deflect, which is going to cause the enemy's posture to shoot up. And now we're going to slow this down to show you what a good deflect looks like. So a deflect, just watch my guard. I've got my guard up. Just as he's coming in, I release it and tap again, and you get that beautiful bloom, that spark and that golden bloom and that sound that you know you've deflected. So you get a really good audio visual cue to know that you've deflected, and unless you master that particular mechanic, you're not going to do well. The other thing I want to point out is holding down R1 like this will do a thrust attack. Look at that as the blade kind of lights up. The thrust attack, look at the dent to the vitality that made, is in my opinion the best standard attack that you can do. So forget spamming R1 and trying as much as possible to land a thrust attack. As you'll see here against the Sekiro, it stuns a lot of enemies, and it also gets the highest amount of vitality and posture damage that a standard attack can do. Okay, just to be clear, a standard attack. What I want to show here is a dash to thrust. So if you hit circle, dash, hold down R1, instead of just doing a dash attack, which is usually a spin attack, a swipe, if you hold down R1 and spin into a thrust, which is really useful because some enemies you're charging around, running around. So if you're running around the outside of enemies, which we'll do later, hold down R1. MIKIRI counter. One of the first skills that you should unlock, so it kind of touches on skills, but it's actually a basic of combat, and it's really unnatural thing to do for a Souls player, to dodge forward into attack. So watch this, loads of enemies pull a thrust attack, and you'll have loads of opportunities to, you'll see the danger sign. All you do is you tap circle, don't tap a direction, you restrain any kind of urge to tap a direction, you just purely tap circle, and that will get you the MIKIRI once unlocked, and that does massive posture damage. So for Souls aficionados, you've got to wipe the slate clean with how you play these sorts of games. You really do. All of the kind of reflex and kind of knee-jerk things that you've kind of built up from playing Souls games, you need to just forget. And the other thing there that I just want to point out is once you have deflected, always follow up with an attack where possible. Look, deflected, straight in with an attack. Don't be too passive in this game. Straight after a deflection or a MIKIRI, you need to follow up with a counter. Okay, and that's what it's all about. Counter attack, guard to recover your posture. Deflect is a massive part of the game, and MIKIRI. The other thing, fundamental I want you to learn, is jump kick. Jump kick is when an enemy is going to pull a swipe attack, and I'm going to slow this down for you so you can see it. Not a swipe attack, a sweep attack. There you go, you can see it. A really unusual move to do for a Souls player or a Bloodborne player. So, we're breaking it down. Here's the swipe. You see him spinning around. I tap X again. I jump off his head, and I come down with an attack, which I'm going to talk about that skill later, that you should definitely unlock. Either way, the jump kick in of itself will cause massive posture damage. So just jumping on top of their head, which is a really alien thing for a Souls player to do. So the other fundamental you need to get used to is when you see that sweep, is jumping up in the air. No directions again. Restrain your hands from tapping the direction. You've got to just purely just tap X twice, and that is it. It's a really, really unusual things for a Souls player to do. So the other thing I want to mention is you're going to fight a lot of sub-bosses throughout this game. Always take the opportunity to drop down and get that death blow. You can see that red orb that lights up in the middle of their body. You get that from either an aerial death blow or sneaking up behind them successfully. But always lock onto any enemy that you suspect might be a sub-boss from afar, and you'll be able to see these 2 death blow markers that I'm pointing out to the left here with that arrow. And you know then you've got a sub-boss fight on your hand. Fight every one of these guys, because every one will give you a prayer bead, which will enable you to increase your vitality and posture. So it's essentially the slight RPG element, the dumbed down RPG element of this game, which actually at first, I won't digress too much, I thought I would miss, but I love everything that they've done with this game. So yeah, always take that death blow opportunity with strong enemies and with sub-bosses. So just during this awesome fight, I want to talk about 2 prosthetic tools that I have found consistently useful throughout the game. So for somebody who's new to the game, I highly recommend them. The first one is firecrackers that you just saw there. I'm using a slightly different late game variant, so don't worry about the purple element, but the point is these work on virtually every single enemy. They give you that breathing space, they blind them, and they give you that opportunity just to get a nice critical hit like a thrust and like rear, or use a nice tasty combat art with the chasing slice there, which I'm going to talk about later. So they are a fantastic tool. I've used them throughout the game. The other one I want to talk about is Miss Raven. And when I talk about these are very early game prosthetic tools that you can get. So for a noob, it's absolutely relevant. You're new to the game, what do I kind of spend my time on early days? And these are 2 prosthetic tools that are great. Miss Raven allows you to disappear into a puff of leaves, as you saw, and basically escape getting hit. So as soon as you get hit, you tap R2 and you can hit a direction and you can land anywhere you want. I always go straight through the enemy, so I end up behind them and I'm able to absolutely F them up, quite frankly, in their rear behind. So there you go, we've got the prayer bead, which is what we wanted. Superb. So the next section, economy systems. Now Sekiro lulls you into a bit of false hope that this isn't a complex and deep intertwining game with its menus. They're a lot more user friendly. Actually there's a lot of items to manage here. So firstly, we've come to Ashina Outskirts. It's late game, so ignore the fire. But what we want to focus in on are memorial mobs. You'll find about 4 or 5 throughout the game. They're these guys that are sitting in tents, chilling their asses off, smoking whatnot, and just, you know, looting corpses around the battlefield like the sick little mofos that they are. But here they are, they're great. So you have to absolutely find every single one of these. First one's the crow's bed one. I'm not going to go through all of them in this video, but yeah, what you want to be looking for, each and every one of these memorial mobs has a unique item that you need to home in on. And this first one is the Robert's firecrackers. You remember I said the firecrackers prosthetic? That is where you get it. You get it right at the start of the game. Make sure you save up the 3,000 cent and buy those firecrackers straight bloody away. The second one is in Abandoned Dungeon. Again, look, prayer bead, you want that. So you're homing on that and you buy it. You've got to make sure you get these unique items. We've got one here in the Mibu village. It's got the mottled purple gourd. Every one of them sells something unique, and you definitely want all 3 of the additional gourds that you can get. The mottled purple gourd allows you to avoid terror. And the other thing I want to pick out while we're on this one is coin purses, and this guy's actually got 2 bulging coin purses. Always stash your cash, always. And what I mean by this is when you're out and about, you'll build up sen, and you'll get to a cellar and you might not actually have anything to buy, or maybe you don't want to spend money on spirit emblems. So what you want to do is buy their coin purses, because you'll then get to another cellar, subsequently, and they'll have something you want, and you'll have coin purses ready to spend on their unique items rather than having to go off and farm. So this guy's got the green mossy gourd. Let's pay close attention to these memorial mobs. I wanted to home in on them. And yeah, just briefly going through some of the kind of things, the practices that I've applied. Never sell divine grass, but there are certain things that I would recommend. The bundled JIZO statue, very rare item. I've only picked up 5 and I'm virtually completed the game. Save these right till the end of the game. Do not use them. You can get through 80-90% of the game without using these. I realise now I'm going to probably need these on the last couple of bosses. And what they do is they allow you a restorative node, so they allow you to resurrect again in addition. Definitely keep an eye on your sugars, don't sell them, although I picked up quite a large cohort of Gokan sugar. So actually I sold a load of that stuff. Be smart with it, don't hang on to everything, because a lot of this stuff is not actually critical. Don't sell divine confetti, I just want to make that very clear. That is a critical item. The Mibu balloons, they're okay, they're not critical. I would look at perhaps selling them if you needed some cash. And 2 things here I want to pick out. I've found Fistful of Ash virtually useless, it didn't do much for me, so I always sold that. And ceramic shards, they are the most useless item in the game. Sell them. And oil, far too much oil. So all of that stuff, don't hang on to it, because actually you don't need it. You think you do, you don't. Also want to pick out here upgrade materials. You might ignore that as an area that you can sell from. Actually the first 2 materials, scrap iron and scrap magnetite, you get an abundance of this stuff, way too much of it, and you'll realise that you virtually upgraded every one of your prosthetics and you've still got all of this. So sell the stuff. Look, you can make thousands off it. So instead of you having to go off and farm, to go off and do lots of laborious things, or whatnot, you can just purely sell some of these items. So to summarise, sell ceramic shards, sell excess of items that are not critical. That's absolutely a given, like oil and Fistful of Ash, not critical. Sell that stuff. Skills and farming, the final section. So we're on to the skills section. So I'm going to run through the key skills that I would pick out for a beginner and the things that you need to aim for as low-hanging fruit, so to speak. The first I mentioned earlier is absolutely the MIKIRI counter. It's at the start of the Shinobi Art skill tree, which is the first skill tree that you unlock, and it's at the start for a reason. I can't imagine playing this game without the MIKIRI counter, and I showed you how that works earlier. But you absolutely need to gun for Shinobi Eyes also. So what that does, it just buffs the posture damage that's executed as part of the MIKIRI counter. So there's 3 things I pick out on here that I've found really, really useful, and there is some opinion in this guide, of course there is, and it's my take on it. The other one for me was mid-air combat arts. Really, really useful. Because a lot of the combat arts are kind of, they open you up to damage, they're risky, they're kind of high risk, high reward, particularly the Ichimonji, which I've got a separate video about. Being able to jump into the air as part of a jump kick and then pull off a combat art is a really useful thing to have. So they're the 3 things I pick out on here. MIKIRI, Shinobi Eyes, and mid-air combat arts. The other thing is Shinobi's Karma and Body. Don't gun for these, but these will give you more spirit emblems. So now we're on to the prosthetic arts skill tree. The 2 that you want to gun for here are absolutely Emma's Medicine, Potency and Aroma. They're quite expensive, 10 skill points you'll consume I think altogether. But you absolutely need these. In terms of your healing gourds, which are like your Estus equivalent in this game, they just increase the amount of healing skill that you get from consuming a gourd. So later on in the game, particularly when your health bar is a lot bigger, if you don't have these, you don't realise the benefit of your gourds, so therefore they render them quite, not useless, but you end up consuming more than you need to. The other thing I want to pick out on here is Chasing Slice. This is a really useful skill, and you can use it in combination with the Mist Raven, which I don't understand why it's not loaded, not listed against there, but you can use it with the Shuriken, the Mist Raven, and what this does, it's kind of a dash forward attack. So it allows you to close the gap, particularly with a Mist Raven. You get behind the enemy, you can dash forward with a slice. Really useful skill. And finally, the end skill on that, Living Blade, being able to buff your blade with fire, really, really useful, just higher damage output, and the red-eyed enemies are really susceptible to it. So sorry, I'm behind myself here. This, in my opinion, this is the Mushin skill tree. This is the best skill tree in the game. I absolutely love it. And as you can see, I've pretty much got every skill. The Ichimonji, and in fact the follow-on from this, the Ichimonji double, are without a doubt the best combat art in the game. The posture damage is huge, the vitality damage is huge, and they don't cost spirit emblems. It doesn't cost any spirit emblems in comparison to the other combat arts. So it's fantastic. Unlock this skill tree and use and abuse it. It's superb. And you get this from Tengu, who's at the Ashina Castle Gate. It's kind of a tall ninja type dude with a weird mask, so I'm sure you'll find him. Make sure you do his little submission to get this skill tree. The other two I want to pick out are Ascending Carp and Descending Carp. What these do you remember I talked about earlier? This game is all about counter-attacking and deflecting. These two, Ascending Carp and Descending Carp, essentially buff those elements of the game. So when you successfully land a deflection, you'll get more posture damage. And when you successfully land a counter-attack off the back of a deflection, you'll get more posture damage. So these are a must. These two skills are critical in my opinion. So it's a great skill tree. I highly recommend ploughing into this one as soon as possible. And the final skill is Destructive as well. I don't use it because it's spirit emblems again, so it's quite costly. I didn't invest in temple art, so again this guide is full of some of my opinion, absolutely. If you're interested in utilising sugars more as part of your game, so having the effects of sugars last longer, then absolutely invest in that skill tree. So yeah, so that's my wrap up of kind of the basic MVP skills I feel like you should be gunning for, or at least the ones that I found the most useful throughout the game. There's some on here that are just kind of, they're not fillers as such, they add elements to the game, but they're kind of just a needs must to get you down the path to the other skills that I see as critical. And I've picked out the ones that you absolutely should gun for as a noob today. So we're coming up to the end of skills, and what I want to lead us into, the final bit of the conversation, is farming. You absolutely have to farm in this game, and if you're not familiar with what farming is as a term of reference, it's essentially just going around and leveling yourself, power leveling, and getting various items and loot that you might need. So when you feel like you need some skill points, just get farming. So what I'm showing you here, this is an early game farming spot. This is Hirata Estate, and this is definitely the first area, the first bit that I farmed on. And I thought, right, I want to get some skill points, because I feel like there's a few skills I want to unlock. I'm feeling a bit weak. There's some gold that I want to get, so I can maybe buy some more spirit emblems. And that's another thing, make sure you use your gold to buy spirit emblems at times. You're going to need them, you're definitely going to need them. So this is a great area, early game farming spot for gold, loot, and for experience early game. This here, the upper antechamber in Ashina Castle, is without a doubt my favourite farming spot. What I'm showing you here is very late game. You spawn at the idol, you come out and you kill that guy over and over. He gives you over 1,000 XP, which is massive at that point in the game, really useful. And he gives you Ministry Dowsing Powder, which is an item that you need. Now I'm showing you the same spot earlier in the game, and these guys give fantastic XP at this point in the game. So these are my two farming spots. Thanks for watching, guys.